So this site is claiming to be both the place where Jesus taught his disciples the secrets of the world, according to Eusebius and the Bordeaux Pilgrim. It is probably referring to Matthew 24, where Jesus on the Mount of Olives taught his disciples and especially warned them of impostors and instructed them to spread his messianic messages. And perhaps it was chosen here because this is indeed Mount of Olives, and the first name of this site is Eleone, Eleona Church, which means in Greek the place of olives. But it's also the site, according to the big sign over here, where Jesus taught his disciples the Lord's Prayer, Pater Noster. And it's also, or it used to claim to be the place where Jesus ascended to heaven. Okay, well, I hope one chapter will be enough to record so many significant events, or at least claims. Welcome everyone, hello, and welcome to another vlog by Danny the Digger. And this time, within the series of Following Jesus in Jerusalem, I am at the church of Pater Noster. Let's get to the ancient entrance and start the review. Nice sunny winter morning. The skies are bright. Perfect day for filming. And it feels like we have the whole site for ourselves. Yeah, I'm just about the only one here. Okay, so to start with let the truck pass. To start appreciating the history of this site and its different claims, we need to start with one figure, Helena Augusta. Helena Augusta, or Fulvia Helena Augusta, was the empress in the Roman Empire in the early 4th century, and she's also the mother of Constantine, one of the most famous figures in Roman history and in Christian history, as he was the one to acknowledge Christian faith and approve it. He did not convert himself, maybe on his deathbed, but he did approve that the worship of Jesus is okay. And in my opinion, it's not because of the Milvian Bridge events, it's because of his mother, cherchez la femme, as they say in French. And in this case, it's his mother, Helena Fulvia Augusta. She was a believer. She convinced her son to accept Christianity, and she is the one to come to the Holy Land and to start to sanctify the first 4 holy sites for the Christian world. The first of them will be in Bethlehem, where she acknowledges a certain cave as the birth site of Jesus, and the Church of Nativity stands over that spot to this day. The second in Hebron, a site that relates to Abraham. The third, the Golgotha and the tomb, the site of the execution, death and burial and resurrection of Jesus, the site of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. It all begins with Helena, and the fourth will be right here. In fact, this is the actual original foundations, the bases of the columns of the Byzantine Constantinian church from the days of Helena Augusta. But why did it sanctify in her days? So according to Eusebius, the main historical source of the time, it was marking the site of the Ascension of Jesus and his return to the heavens, which is documented in the book of Acts to have happened on Mount of Olives. And the second thing he calls was the teaching of the secrets of the universe. This event we know from Matthew 24, as I said, to have happened on Mount of Olives. But where exactly? Well, that's anyone's guess. in the days of Helena, it was chosen at this spot, and specifically in the crypt beneath the surface, which we shall enter now. Yes, we really have the site to ourselves. Here is an underground chapel, a crypt with its apse facing east, and in the back here you have some tombs that date to the Byzantine period of certain church leaders of Jerusalem. But the claim in the days of Helena were that this is the place where Jesus taught his disciples, instructed them to spread the messianic messages that he was delivering, and warning them also of what he labeled as impostors, because Messiah can only be one. But both the New Testament and Josephus record other people that also claim to be the Messiah, and that is indeed a very interesting topic, all of this messianic activity in those days. Now, this is where it gets interesting. In the Middle Ages, in the days of the Crusaders, again, the Crusaders took so many traditions and messed them up. In the days of the Crusaders, they actually placed here not the site of the Ascension, not the site of the teachings, but the site of a teaching, but a very, very specific prayer, the Lord's Prayer, Pater Noster, hence the name of the site to this day. And what I really like when I bring people here is showing all of these tablets presenting the Lord's Prayer in different languages, including, in my opinion, in the original language that he said it, Aramaic. Why do I think that Jesus' first language was Aramaic, and probably his disciples as well? Because they were all Jews from the Galilee, and archaeology shows us that Aramaic was the main language in use in the inscriptions that we find from that period. But furthermore, wait, let me place here the camera. Okay, it should be tracking me now. But furthermore, we know from the New Testament that Jesus occasionally refers to Aramaic, and especially when he is in distress. The most famous words, the last words of Jesus on the cross, is Eloi, Eloi, lama shevaktani. And the New Testament presents it in like transliteration in the actual words that he said. Now, these words are Aramaic, they're not Hebrew. If he wanted to say, God, why have you forsaken me in Hebrew, he would have said, Lama azavtani. Using the word Eloi, using the word shevaktani means he used Aramaic. And it's not the only time that Aramaic is actually mentioned in the text. In fact, one of my other favorites is when Mary Magdalene in the Gospel of John sees Jesus alive next to the tomb. How does she refer to him? Rabboni. Not Rabbi in Hebrew, Rabboni in Aramaic. So it was Aramaic that both Jesus and his disciples were using, and if so, then maybe it is Aramaic, the language in which he said the Lord's Prayer. Let me now read it to you. Abuna de Bishmaya. Yes, I hope the camera is tracking me. This is a new feature, the tracking mode. Abuna de Bishmaya, Hitkadda Shimcha, De'atta Malchuta, Tit'abba Re'utcha, Kedei Bishmaya Ken Be'ara, Lachmana Haravlana, Sanos Yom Beyoma, Veshabbak Lanu Chubiza, Baria Fanchata, Shvaka Lachibina, Valtalan El Nisyon, Ela Metzina Ken Be'isha, Amen. I bet you never thought the Lord's Prayer can sound like this, and definitely not that this is the original way that it sounded. But yes, this is what science, this is what a rational analysis of the history of the historical figure of Jesus suggests. And here is that text. Okay, in Hebrew, in case you argue, he said it in Hebrew, it would sound like this: Avinu asher b'shamayim yitkadosh shimcha, tavo malchutcha, ya'aser ratzoncha, ka'asher b'shamayim u'ba'aretz, לחמנו תן לנו דבר יום ביומו, ושא לנו מסענו, כאשר גם אנחנו נסענו לחובנו, ואל תביאנו במסע, כי אם תצילנו מן הרשע, אמן. What a beautiful text. And scholars believe that even if we are to doubt some of the messages, wherever they are really from Jesus himself, they all agree that this type of text is original to Jesus himself, to the first century. A beautiful recitement that is said by billions of Christians to this day. Now let me switch back to front camera. And let me show you the rest of the site, and also ask a little disturbing question. Yes, the text is original, and there's no doubt it can be referred to Jesus, but did he say it here? Well, the only references of location are in Luke, and he says that it happened somewhere. He doesn't say where it happened. And Matthew, when he presents it in Matthew chapter 6, it is in the context of the Sermon on the Mount, which means he was actually in the Galilee when he taught that prayer. So I'm sorry, dear Crusaders, I don't think you really got the right location. But you know what? Let's focus on the message. A beautiful message of forgiveness and keeping away from sin and giving us our basics. That's all we want. Now let's say a few words about this site today, which was again built originally by in the days of Helena in the 4th century, and then it was rebuilt by the Crusaders, but after they were expelled it fell into ruins, and it was 19th century French purchase that brought a recovery to this site, which also explains why you see the flag of France hovering there up above. This is all work of a specific noble woman who is buried here. The French did not manage to rebuild the whole site, but they did rebuild a church here at its eastern end, where that noble woman is also buried. I want to read the sign to make sure that I'm getting her name properly. Aurélie de Bussy, oui, de Princesse de la Tour Vurej, Duquet de Bouillon, who is buried here. She was the figure to purchase this site and set it up to its current shape, which is still an open, big, basilica-shaped church. And the place for worship is a rather humble size. Let me see if I can get us in here. Yes, here we go. A humble-sized church with a nice medieval design to it, but it's actually from modern times. A place where believers can congregate and contemplate and relate to the messages of Jesus, appearing again here and here and here and all over the site in so many languages. Now, one of the traditions of the Ascension of Jesus, was originally related to this site. Oh, I'm not alone anymore. Was originally related to this site, but already in the 4th century, we have a Spanish nun called Egeria recording her visit here, and she tells us that the mark of the Ascension has been moved to what she labels as an imbomon. And frankly, it makes sense that the Ascension of Jesus would not be placed from inside a cave. Yes, the focal point of this church is again the crypt and the cave in the middle of this complex. The site that we have visited, hold on, ooh, there's a group here. The site that we have visited down there inside. So, if it's not here, where is it? Oh, it's not just any group, it's a tour guide course. There are no tourists, but people are still Israelis are still signing up for tour guide courses, all waiting for the return of the tourists. And frankly, your humble servant was just accepted to be a coordinator of a tour guide course that is going to start in April. Something that I was offered to do also years ago, but declined, as guiding tourists was my big passion. But without any tourists and a desperate need for an income, nearly 2 years with no work, it has its effects. I've agreed to coordinate a new tour guide course. Hi Habibi. Hina Gamata. This is the guard of the site. He informed me yesterday that I should come today in the morning when it's really open, not in the afternoon. But the reason I'm walking out of the site is to show you where the site of the Ascension of Jesus has been moved to, a more proper location, a hilltop, one of the highest points in the Mount of Olives. And so that event, probably taking place in the 4th or 5th century, split the significance of the Oile One Church. From that time, only the teachings of Jesus were commemorated inside the church itself, and the ascension of Jesus would be marked from that point on at the site over here. Now, you might be a bit puzzled. How can a holy Christian site have a Muslim minaret at the entrance? Welcome to Jerusalem, everyone. What could be holy for one religion often becomes sacred to another. And in this case, after the expulsion of the Crusaders, the Muslims Muslimized this site as well. And actually it's actually the only site left where the Muslims still charge an entry fee from Christians who want to visit the site. But this is it, Mount of Olives, Chapel of the Ascension. And what does this site look like? What is its history? What is its archaeology? For this you will have to wait for the proper chapter at the end of the series. It will probably be actually the last of them, the chapter reviewing the Ascension of Jesus. So I hope you've enjoyed it all. Hit subscribe and hit like if you want to keep getting notification of more contents that is going to be uploaded. What a beautiful view there of Jerusalem. And so long for now. Litraut.